I am legitimately at a loss for words following UFC 323. I mean, the fucking main event of Merab versus Petr stopping Merab's reign with one of the best performances we've ever seen. Like, no fucking joke. That was an absolute masterclass from Petr. And then the Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. That was fucking one of the saddest things I've ever watched. We'll get into that. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna be pushing out videos for every card. We're gonna do a lot of big things over Christmas. But let's start what we're all here for. We're gonna start with breaking down Merab versus Petr. Again, this was a fucking masterclass. 2 for 29 on takedowns landed for Merab. And listen, I think in the first fight, when these two dudes, Jesus, I'm fucking bright. When the first time these two dudes fought, what did Merab land? 11 of 49. So Petr, we knew he had the takedown defense to at least neutralize Merab. I didn't think it'd be to this fucking degree. And right from the beginning, you saw how this fight was going to play out. Petr was pressuring Merab early. Merab, he landed some nice shots too. And there wasn't really any shot takedowns in that first round till maybe a minute left in the round. I don't think Merab shot until then. And listen, he couldn't get down. He couldn't get Petr down at all. I mean, how many single legs did he shoot? And Petr did a nice job keeping his balance, getting the feet. Listen, we've talked about how good Jose Aldo's takedown defense. Petr is right up there with him, if not better. They do such a great job of getting the cage. I don't think Merab landed no takedowns on Jose Aldo. So it's just there's really Petr and Jose Aldo are the only two dudes who could fucking do this in terms of stopping Merab's takedowns. And Petr also mixed it in with absolutely slick striking and even landed fucking takedowns of his own. But the first round was close. I think Petr had landed some nice shots in that round. But you could have given it to Merab. That's fine. I thought it could have gone either way. But, you kind of get to the second round. It's more the same. Merab's trying to go for the single leg. And Petr was really landing his jab really nicely. He landed a fucking double leg on this. There was like a really fun scrambling sequence. Merab kind of was trying for a guillotine in that round. And just really the summary of this whole fight was insane takedown defense from Petr. Absolutely fucking crazy balance. I think in the third round was the round where Petr had landed. Those started really working the body, landed that nice kick, I believe, and fucking you heard Merab audibly yell, which was absolutely insane. Again, at this point, Merab's nose was fucking crooked, more crooked than it already is. He had Merab absolutely bloodied and battered. Then there was a point where I think Petr slammed Merab on his head in that round. That was absolutely fucking insane. It was kind of like Leon Bilal-esque. And then, I think Merab also had he had a double leg where he just carried Petr around and slammed him down, which was kind of funny. But listen, nobody thought this was gonna happen. What was he, plus fucking 600 plus a billion in this? There was no chance Petr was winning this fight according to the odds makers, according to pretty much everybody. And fucking Daniel Cormier on the mic, which was absolutely insane. This dude was like, when they showed up tweets, I was Petr up 2-0. He was fucking spazzing out saying, that can't be possible. This is Merab still in this fight. Merab got dominated. This was arguably 50-45. I wouldn't have blamed people if they scored it that way. I thought 49-46 was fair because maybe Merab won a round in there somewhere. But just absolutely insane. Petr was just putting it on him the whole fucking fight. And it was an absolute thing of beauty. I think he might have got cut by an elbow in round 5, but who the fuck cares? Just absolute beauty. His body work was insane. Landing clean combos. The takedown defense was just a thing of beauty. Again, I'm going to just keep saying it. If you want to watch fucking elite, how to stop Merab, watch Petr. Nobody else is doing that, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to point something out. I think this is what happens when you defend the belt 4 times in a year. The weight cut takes a lot on your body, and I'm not using that as an excuse for Merab because I thought Petr, again, perfect game plan and perfect execution. Merab, I don't think, was perfect execution, but his cardio was there. I mean, he was still doing the classic Merab. Like, even when he got hurt, he still fucking pushed on. But, listen, that's why nobody's done it before. Nobody's successfully defended the belt 4 times in a year. People have done it 3 times, but nobody will ever do it. I think if I'm Merab, I'm taking fucking 5 months off. He needs a full break. This does make the division extremely interesting now, because now you're looking, is there a Petr Merab rematch? I think that's what has to happen to get the trilogy. But listen, I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC was fucking trying to push somebody else up here. Umar, when he beats Figgy. Sean O'Malley, listen, you're going to hear a lot of Sean O'Malley buzz when he finishes, when he beats Song Yadong, because Petr and Sean O'Malley have rematched, have history. Obviously, they kind of had controversy in that first fight. where Petr Yan really won and they fucking gave it to Sean O'Malley. But I just can't. I'm really stunned. I really have nothing else to say. Just absolute masterclass from Petr Yan, stuffing every single Merab takedown essentially, and takedown defense like you've never seen before. And shame on all of us for doubting him, because he's one of the greatest we've ever seen, one of the greatest bantamweights, one of the greatest fighters. I know I've kind of shit on him a little bit for being like, this guy doesn't finish anybody anymore. You know, we talk about how elite his striking is, and he hasn't had a finish in 5 years, and that was against Jose Aldo. Who the fuck cares? He's on a 4-fight win streak now, has beaten all legit dudes. His career, you know, was kind of had a lot of robberies involved in it, like where he loses to Sean O'Malley. That was bullshit. He has the whole Aljo situation, you know, their kind of rivalry. Petr Yan is one of the ones, bro. And part of me for overlooking him in this fight, but credit to him, absolute dominating performance against Merab. And it wasn't just that he won, it was how he did it. Merab really had nothing going for him. There was never a moment in this fight where you thought Merab was winning. At a certain point, I was like, maybe he just has to keep spamming takedowns, hopefully get a ton of control time against the fence, and that might be his only chance. Because on the feet, he's fucked, and couldn't get a single takedown to save his life. Got stuffed so many times in the middle of the octagon. There were some nice sprawls from Petr Yan. And the fact that Petr Yan landed 5 of 9 takedowns, he fucking out-wrestled Merab. That's the thing. He out-wrestled Merab. Absolutely insane performance from Petr Yan. I'm really excited to see what's next for him. I think, again, a rematch is probably in place, but who knows? Who knows at this point? Bantamweight division becomes extremely interesting now for what they're going to do next, because I think both these dudes are going to take some time off, specifically Merab. So if Petr Yan's next rematch is not against Merab, that's whatever. I think Merab needs 5 months off. Moving on to the co-main, and this was literally one of the saddest things I've ever watched in my life. Listen, we've seen some losses on this channel. Like, I actually did hear DC and Joe bring this up. It's like, this was easily worse than the Tom Aspinall thing, because Cyril Gane's a dirty fuck. We knew that already. And you knew that was coming to that. There had been multiple eye pokes already. The fight had gone on for 26 seconds. And Pantoja really came out fucking firing, blitzing Joshua Van early, landing some nice stuff. There's not really much you could say in terms of, oh, Pantoja was going to beat Joshua Van's ass, or Joshua Van was going to beat Pantoja's ass. There just seemed like a lot of good energy in this fight. Both dudes came out aggressive, and his arm just fucking dislocated. Now, Megan Olivey, whatever her name is, she works for ESPN, said it was a dislocated shoulder. She's got to have wrongs. You know, that can't be right, because look at where it looked like it was radius, so it looked like the radius, you know, arm bone. I cage doctor, you guys, I don't fucking know. I'm not going to do anatomy here. But whatever, that looked like it snapped. Now, if that's the case, this isn't some like he's just in a cast for a couple months. He could be in a cast for half a year, and who knows when he's going to come back. Hopefully it's just a dislocation of like the elbow or something, and then he can kind of get back this year. But it's a real shame, because this guy, you know, had kind of been disrespected by casuals for so long. People had called him boring. I don't know why. He's so fucking good. He's finally getting the respect he deserves. He's getting a chance to put on this big stage against one of the most hyped up prospects in the UFC. Is it even fair to call Joshua Van a prospect anymore? But you know what I mean. Hyped up guys in the UFC, super exciting. And he fucking just, his arm snaps. And his kids were there, and it was awful. And listen, like, Joshua Van was celebrating, which I was kind of split on, because I was like, if I was him, I'm probably celebrating too, because you're getting life-changing money, you know, life-changing fame. You work your whole life, or in his case, a couple years to get this shot, but you just win in such a unfortunate way. Like, I think we were really in for a classic. I mean, even though I picked Pantoja by submission in round 3, I think we were going to have a really fun fight. And for it to end this way, and especially such a great champion like Pantoja, who is on his way to not only being the flyweight GOAT, but one of the greatest of all time we've seen in the sport. And now it just ends like this. And we have no clue. If he comes back in a year, there's no guarantee he's the same Alessandro Pantoja. I know it's an arm injury. It's not like a knee or some soft tissue injury, like even like a hamstring or something. So you would think it shouldn't be that bad. But he's already, 36 or 37? Like, taking a year off from the UFC could be extremely detrimental to him. We have no clue if he'll ever be the same again. Just absolutely sucks. Happy for Joshua Van, though, because like he deserves this moment, in terms of he deserves to be you know what I mean? Like, he's a deserving champion. Like, he could have beat Pantoja, and I'd be like, all right, that's fine. I'm a big Joshua Van fan. But just for it to happen this way is absolutely criminal. We don't know, again, when Pantoja's coming back. So maybe, I think they have to do Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira in the meantime, because you want to keep this division moving. Tatsuro Taira, we'll talk about him next. You know, he had an absolutely a great performance. A little bit of controversy in that one too, but it just absolutely sad. This was Derrick Rose-esque. I know Pantoja's obviously had more on his plate, and it's not like he's young and tore his knee up or something. But just like, fuck, I can't believe he lost. Like, I know I just smiled there, but it's just absolutely sickening to watch that to happen to somebody who's such a great dude. He's so humble. And we've seen stuff like this happen before with Anderson Silva and, Chris Weidman, but this hurts more, honestly. But you know what? I can't say great fight or anything to end it off. Just absolutely fucking tragic. Alessandro Pantoja, you will be missed, my brother. I'm going to miss you. Hopefully it is a shoulder. Hopefully Megan Levy, whatever the fuck her name is, was telling the truth. Moving down the card, Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. I don't even want to talk about the rest of this card based on, what happened in those first two fights, but you could tell there was a big Mexican crowd cheering for Brandon Moreno, and really an odd start. They were kind of dancing at each other, feints from range. Taira shot on Brandon Moreno, and then Moreno flipped, ended up top in this standing kind of a triangle, which throwing up a triangle from bottom position, rare. How many times do you really see a submission that way? You really tie your legs out. It looked like he kind of had it in there in the beginning, but Tatsuro Taira seemed really calm. I think he lost that first round because he really needed to land more strikes, and it's kind of hard to be in that position to land anything meaningful, but he should have went to the body more. I think there was a point where Brandon Moreno kind of readjusted that body triangle, or not that body triangle, that triangle, and maybe had it a little tight, but it really never seemed like anything was going to happen, which is a weird first round. So Moreno takes that first round. The second round, they actually start throwing punches. Taira shot. There was a nice sprawl from Brandon Moreno. Then he landed like a really nice inside trip. The fuck? On Brandon Moreno, and was landing really good ground and pound, and then the fight was fucking over. Now, he took probably like 10 shots to the head, but this is where my problem is. This is a guy who's a former champion. He's very important for just the history of the flyweight division, one of the best flyweights ever. I think Mark Smith was the ref. You have to, he was moving around. It wasn't like he was just sitting there. You have to give him a chance to, figure it out in that fight, because that's ridiculous. I know he's in an awful position, but he's trying to move. He shouldn't lose that way. Tatsuro Taira was probably on his way to fucking win anyway. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He was probably going to win that fight. But that sucked. And listen, I picked Moreno here. Credit to Tatsuro Taira. He survived that first round with the triangle, off Brandon Moreno's triangle off his back on bottom position. And, good win. I thought Tatsuro Taira could have definitely won this. I kind of regret it because when I first saw this matchup get announced, I thought Tatsuro Taira would win. And then I went against it. I was like, Brandon Moreno, he's not going to lose this. He did. It was an early stoppage, but whatever. Great win for Tatsuro Taira. I think him versus Joshua Van has to be the next matchup. Brandon Moreno, buddy. Maybe you versus Horiguchi? I saw some dudes in my TikTok comment section say that. Maybe you versus Horiguchi, I think, could low-key be an interesting fight. Down the card we go. And this was the first two fights in this card. I was actually happy. Henry Cejudo versus Payne Talbot was an absolute fucking classic. This one actually exactly how you thought it would. Henry Cejudo is this offensive, like everybody talks about his wrestling. That shit was not there whatsoever. Payne Talbot stuffed every takedown but one. He looked so small in this. I almost forgot how much of a midget Henry Cejudo is. And Payne Talbot was really landing nicely on the feet. Payne Talbot was shrugging off single legs from Cejudo. And I thought Henry Cejudo was asking to get knocked out this entire fight. His chin was up the whole thing. Then he kind of got eye poked. He didn't really get eye poked. And I was like, come on, Henry. We're not doing this. He's just an angry little elf, that fucking Henry Cejudo. Then he landed a takedown. His emoting on him, laughing in Henry Cejudo's face, was on top, landing shots. Then there was another double leg down that round. That was insane. He kind of wobbled Henry in the second round, I think. Then Cejudo, actually, the only takedown he landed, I think, was in the second round, but he did 0 damage. I thought there was going to be a finish in this round. This is where Henry Cejudo really got bloodied up. Payne Talbot was landing knees, elbows, fucking body shots. He was just throwing down, teeing off, smiling at Henry Cejudo. And what a scrap it was. Round 3, these guys kind of stuck on the feet for the most part. One thing Henry Cejudo, when he goes into the single legs, he was not driving them at all. I think he might have just been gassed. But he was not driving Payne Talbot anywhere, to the fence, to the ground. He would just shoot, and that would be it. He would just give up. It's just so weird. That's my thing with Henry Cejudo. This whole run you hear about his wrestling, he's never really wins fights with his offensive grappling. He never gets a ton of control time. He has no submissions off the ground. Like, it's just weird. And he was so bloody in this fight. I mean, is there anything else I can even say here? It was a sick fight, and Henry Cejudo loses. No real disrespect. I was like, he went out on his sword. He lost a really fun, good scrap. Like Payne Talbot, obviously 30-27. He won every round, but it was still a good showing from Henry Cejudo. They gave him a montage, and a certain when the fight ended, I was like, are they going to give him a montage? Like I was like, imagine Anthony Smith gets a montage and Henry Cejudo doesn't. But good fight. Like Henry Cejudo, Triple C. It just is. It's crazy that this guy, it's crazy that he just retired when he did, and then was pretty much saying like, if the money's right, I'll come back. Like the whole thing was weird. Going out in a 4-fight losing streak. Now he lost all legit guys: Aljo, Merab, Song Yadong. Payne Talbot's clearly proving that he's legit. There's no shame in that, but just he should have stayed retired, because then you're looking at him as like, oh, Henry Cejudo, one of the greats, you know what I mean, 2-division champ, and now you're like, yeah, fucking, why did you come back? You lost a split decision to Aljo, lost to Merab. It's kind of funny that Song Yadong had a worse performance than Payne Talbot. I'm really interested to see what they do with Payne Talbot now, because listen, he looks so much better from the Raoni Barcelos fight. Obviously beats Felipe Lima, who a lot of people thought Felipe Lima, was this great prospect at bantamweight, would beat Payne Talbot. Talbot, was really a lot better than Felipe Lima in that fight. Now I don't know what you do with Payne Talbot. I think there's two options in my opinion. I think I saw some people saying Sanhagen. That would be crazy for me, for Sanhagen to fight for the belt and then fight Payne Talbot, who's probably going to come in at like 10th now in the rankings. I think Song Yadong, when he loses to Sean O'Malley, is an obvious matchup. Could see Mario Batista too. I think they're gonna let Zahabi fight up. Like I don't really think one of the Batista or Zahabi will be the odd man out. Umar I don't really see. Jan obviously not. Merab no. O'Malley no. I think Song Yadong or Mario Batista makes sense in my opinion for a next opponent for Payne Talbot, because you can't fight anybody below 10 now. So he's not gonna fight Cheeto Vera either, who's 9. So I'm really interested to see what they do with him. He's clearly proven himself. Frank Ocean's getting fucked tonight, bro. Like absolutely cracked. Big win for the Talbot sexuals. I'm really happy. I'm happy that Payne Talbot's kind of proving me right. I always thought he was good. He's really improved on Raoni Barcelos' loss. I'm happy for Payne Talbot. Henry Cejudo, you had a great career. Moving on to the opener of the main card, Jan Blachowicz, Polish powered, versus Bogdan Guskov, the Agent 47. This was a fun fucking fight. Round 1, everything was going right for Jan Blachowicz. I thought he played that round perfectly. Joe Rogan goes, this guy Jan Blachowicz, he's made out of rocks. His bones are made of rocks. That gave me a good giggle. And, he's just really landing his calf kick nicely, landing his jab extremely nicely. Had a ton of pressure. Like, even when Bogdan Guskov was blitzing forward, Jan Blachowicz was doing a good job staying calm, landing his jab. Just, it was a good first round for him. In the second round, that's when everything kind of went to shit. Jan Blachowicz is still landing his jab well. And then Guskov knocks him down with a straight right. And then there were elbows on the guard in that round. And there was one elbow that landed on Jan Blachowicz. And Jan Blachowicz let an audible ow. Like, he was audibly in pain. And that shit made me laugh so fucking hard. Jan Blachowicz also tried for like a heel hook and just was too high. Couldn't really get it in. They both kind of laughed at each other. Somehow escaped out of that. I was just yelling at my TV the whole time. Jan, you have to scramble out of this. I just think he's too old. But he survived that round. But it was a 10-8. I mean, Bogdan Guskov had the control time. He had the damage. He had the knockdown. It's as simple as that. I love Jan Blachowicz, but that's the case. And this third round was great again. Guskov, I thought, was flowing a little bit in the beginning of this round, was landing his right really nicely. Jan Blachowicz was still popping his jab. And then Jan Blachowicz actually kind of wobbled or hurt Bogdan Guskov, but he eye poked him, and Jason Herzog didn't see it at all. I just thought this whole fight, I was like, credit to Jan Blachowicz. This guy's 50 years old, and he's having a really spirited performance against a good fighter in Bogdan Guskov. And Guskov looked gassed. Jan was putting it on him, had landed a late knockdown. And at this point, I was like, give it to Jan Blachowicz. I was disregarding that second round. Jan was easily the better fighter in this fight. I don't want to hear it. He was the better fighter in this fight. But whatever. It was a crafty performance from him. The draw was the right decision though, because the 10-8 definitely happened in that second round. I don't want to hear any if thens or buts. Just great grit from Jan Blachowicz. They're probably going to run this matchup back. This guy, he's the the scorecard is his worst enemy. Fuck me. Ankalaev was a draw that he probably won. This fight, I understand the draw. The judges got this right. I think Jan Blachowicz was the better fighter. If they ran it back, Jan Blachowicz, I think, would win this. Guskov, I don't know. Maybe he just has to let his hands go a little bit more against Jan Blachowicz. Maybe that's kind of the key for this, because it just seemed like he couldn't really get anything going until the second round when he knocked him down once. But any other time they were on the feet, I thought Jan was a lot better. But overall, listen, the main card was good. Like, Jan versus Guskov was a great fight. Cejudo versus Pantoja was a great fight. Like, Moreno versus Taira kind of sucked. Obviously, this was Pantoja versus Joshua Van was absolutely tragic. And then Merab versus Petr Yan, that was one of the best performances I've ever seen from a UFC fighter. And Petr Yan, just beautiful. I mean, plus 370 going into the fight is absolutely insane. And he fucking showed up. Let's run through some of the prelim fights. We'll start off with Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. I got this one right, actually. Grant Dawson couldn't get any entries on his takedowns, was shooting from far. I mean, you know what? Fuck talking about his takedown attempts. How about this overhand that this guy throws? He throws his overhand where he's hitting you with his fucking wrist. I've never seen anything like it. It was actually disgusting. And you're like, the more this dude throws his overhand, Manuel Torres is going to time up and put him out. And Torres stuffed 2 takedowns. He had like 2 nice sprawls. His entries, Grant Dawson's entries on his takedown sucked in this fight. And then he, I think, threw an overhand missed, and Manuel Torres countered him and put him fucking out. Viva la Mexico. It's as simple as that. I don't even know why I guessed the second round knockout from Manuel Torres. Every single one of his fights ends in the first round. Grant Dawson, your striking suck. Like, this was kind of a Sean Brady Morales-esque, except neither one of these dudes are like kind of the freak athlete that Michael Morales is. But you know what I mean. It was just gross. As soon as any meaningful striking exchanges happened, Grant Dawson just died. Manuel Torres, you're going to be in the rankings, buddy. I'm happy. I love Manuel Torres. This guy's so fun to watch. And Grant Dawson, you have the striking ability of a second grade girl, not even a second grade boy. You just look absolutely so uncomfortable on the feet. You have nothing there. Great grappler, but just no. He needs to fight unathletic dudes. Manuel Torres is too good. Sick knockout for Manuel Torres. He's going to be in the rankings. Now, again, this is what I'm talking about in lightweight, though. These are like, not Grant Dawson and whatever, but Manuel Torres, like the Quillen Salkild, Bahamondes, Ziam. I'm sure there's another name I'm forgetting. There's a lot of these fun lightweight guys. And then you just have dudes like Michael Chandler, Moicano, fucking even Grant Dawson do agree, just taking up spots. Even Mauricio Huffy, he fits into, I guess, the prospect category. But get Manuel Torres, Salkild, Bahamondes. I want all those dudes in the rankings. Moving down to another insane fight. The prelims were honestly amazing for this card. Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. Terrence McKinney just comes out like a bat out of hell, swinging at this dude so much, was kneeing him. Somehow Chris Duncan survives. He shot a takedown, got up. Then he got Terrence McKinney down. Then they separate. Duncan was still hurt though, but was still landing on Terrence McKinney. Dropped him with an elbow. Then he kind of gets up, Terrence McKinney, and he's down again. This fight should have been a TKO. I mean, Mark Goddard watched Chris Duncan pound Terrence McKinney's head into the fence with so many punches to the head. They didn't call it that way. And then Chris Duncan got Terrence McKinney down into an anaconda joke. And wow, just every Terrence McKinney fight ends this way. I should have known better. My whole rationale in taking Terrence McKinney here was if he had won the fight, I would have felt bad if I went against him. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'll just ride with my guy, Terrence McKinney. But I love Chris Duncan. The fucking Scot. What a battle between these two dudes. Good win for all my Scottish people. They're going to be in their kilts tonight. It's going to be absolutely epic. Even the Macy Barber versus Karine Silva fight was actually a pretty good fight. You know, Macy Barber, I'm happy she's back. She did a really nice job getting in the face of Karine Silva. Silva, I think, won the first round, but after that, it was really a nice performance from Macy Barber. There was like a weird up kick situation for Karine Silva, hit Macy Barber in the head. She looked dizzy. That was a bit odd, but Macy Barber landed a really nice ground and pound in this round. And it was kind of more of the same in the third round also. And then somebody gave Macy Barber a 30-27. That judge might be fucking her or wants to fuck her, because this was 29-28 all three ways. And then the highlight of this fight was Joe Rogan when Macy Barber was in Karine Silva's guard. He's like, you don't want to be in Karine Silva's guard, man. That's a dangerous position, man. You don't want to be in there. Like, you got to get out of there. He just kept saying that. That was pretty funny. Overall, actually, a pretty good fight. Macy Barber happy she's back. She's pretty good, honestly. And then the last fight on the prelims, Nazim Sadykhov versus Ziam. I regret picking this, Nazim Sadykhov. I was thinking about just changing my pick on Tapology, but I was like, I'm going to ride with my Serra-Longo guys, my Brooklyn dudes, even though he's from, like, Tajikistan or something. Not Tajikistan, like, somewhere over there. For Ziam, I've been a fan of this guy for a long time. He used his range pretty well. It was kind of boring in the first round, honestly. But, you know, he was holding up against the cage a lot. Then there was, like, a kind of an arm triangle in there a little bit. But, yeah, Nazim Sadykhov just couldn't get anything going. Second round again, Ziam using his kicks very nicely. Nazim Sadykhov landed 7 total strikes in this fight. He couldn't land shit. Then he got... What happened in this fight, actually? Did he get... I think he got Nazim Sadykhov down on like a single leg with a high crotch, drove him down, started landing massive elbows at the end of the second round along the cage, and Jason Herzog stepped in. He clearly had over two rounds in this fight because he didn't want to stop the fight. It was kind of weird, but just dumb pick for me. For SCM is really legit. Nazim Sadykhov, he faces so much adversity in all his fights. The dudes who, I mean, they're names, but I wouldn't call them elite. For SCM, he's definitely really good. This guy should be ranked, in my opinion, or at least he should be getting a ranked fighter. Again, kick the Michael. I know they got to keep Michael Chandler around in the rankings for the McGregor fight. I want to see Moicano out of there. I like Moicano. Like Dan Hooker and BSD are fighting, but Moicano, get the fuck out of there. And there's some other dudes that I'm just forgetting some of the lightweight rankings, but I need these bums out of here. For SCM, you're the fucking dog. Early prelims, I'll try and go through this as fast as possible. Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. This was a pretty funny fight because Marvin Vettori probably could have won this fight, and he just didn't listen to his coaches at all. He was eating all the shots of Bruno Ferreira. Their grappling kind of negated each other. I figured Bruno Ferreira would have gotten Marvin Vettori down like solidly at least 2 times. That didn't really happen. Just a lot of failed takedown attempts in this. Marvin Vettori's striking is absolutely shit. You know, he had moments where he was landing on Bruno Ferreira. Just couldn't do anything consistently enough. Just not. He's getting cut. He's on a 4-fight losing streak. He was getting clipped a lot in this fight. Like, you could tell he was getting cut up. It wasn't like the Marvin Vettori of old where he just looks like he wasn't even a fight. But his nose got cracked in this. Just funny. Izzy's legacy ages worse by the day. I'm kind of kidding, but not really. Bruno Ferreira, please make weight next time. They'll be fat. He looked noticeably fat in this fight. And Marvin Vettori, like, you listen, I watched Marvin Vettori film, obviously preparing for this fight, but there's difference when you're watching it live. You're like, this dude moves so slow. Like, who is even a fan of this guy? And I kind of like him as a troll figure, but he doesn't move at the speed of light. He moves at the speed of dark. I saw a comment somewhere like that, because that's true. That's what Marvin Vettori, that's what he does. That's what Marvin Vettori does. But he just moves so fucking slow. Good win for Bruno Ferreira. Please make weight next time. Marvin Vettori getting cut. This was absolutely disgusting. I don't even want to acknowledge that this happened. Edson Barboza versus Jalen Turner. Edson, bro, you got to retire. You know, he actually had some crisp striking in the beginning, and then Jalen Turner cut him with an elbow that was a comical amount of blood. Edson Barboza does that thing where he survives. He's like bouncing around the cage. Like, you could really see all his intercostal muscle, look at that word, contracting, breathing very heavy. And then he just was absolutely gassed, and Jalen Turner poured it on him, and it was over. I'm happy for Jalen Turner, because he did say he turned to God, you know, after his recent kind of losing streak in the UFC. Like, Renato Moicano made this dude turn to God, which is hilarious. But Edson Barboza, my brother, you got to retire. It's over for you. Moving down, this was the greatest fight I've ever seen. Ibo Baraniewski versus Ibo Aslan. I mean, there were 100 knockdowns in this fight. It was really a high-skilled bar fight. I just wrote on this, they drop each other a million times. I honestly thought Baraniewski was going to lose this fight. Like, there was a moment where Ibo was doing a really nice job working to the body. I was like, they're going to step in and call the fight. They didn't. And then they broke away, and all hell broke loose. I don't even know how many knockdowns there were. This was one of the greatest 2-minute fights I've ever seen. This was literally Pat Perry versus Czech Congo, too. All my old heads out there, if they've seen that fight, look it up if you haven't, if you're a kid, if you're still watching the video. This was literally the craziest fight I've ever seen. What a win for Iwo Baraniewski. Iwo Aslan, now you're on a 3-fight skid. And you know the thing about Iwo is, I knew, like, when I was doing research for him, and, like, I watched his Contender Series fight, obviously, doing research for him, and it hadn't clicked to me. I literally had watched that live, like, months ago. I must have forgot about it, because he literally knocked the dude out in 2 seconds. But this dude's tank. He's literally built like a little mini P.E.K.K.A. He's like 6 foot in the light heavyweight. He's a beast, bro. Good win for Ivo Baraniewski. Literally one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. Mansur Abdul-Malik, Antonio Trocoli, go back to the poker tables, buddy, because you shouldn't be fighting. The fact that they said this dude made $100,000 playing poker at one tournament, why are you fighting? Because Mansur Abdul-Malik literally bullied you, like shot a double leg, crushed you into the ground. Joe Rogan was glazing this dude's back muscles like absolutely insane. Was dominating standing guillotine. That was it. It was really saddening. Antonio Trocoli, go back to the poker table. And this fight was kind of boring. Like, good win for Myron Santos. I kind of wish he just wish he threw more volume. That was kind of my take from this. And Jason Herzog, I also was, because I guess this was the first fight. He was the first ref, and I was like, oh, he's back. Now everybody can stop saying he's a sick gambling addict. But Naimov got wobbled in the first, and then Myron Santos knocked him out in the third. I don't really have much to say, because I also was eating during this. There was a lot of hugging on the fence, and Santos dropped him with the right. He's good, Myron Santos. I don't know if he could forever be a featherweight, though. I didn't know he was going to speak English. He's a fighting nerd also. I don't know why I didn't know that, but whatever. Great, overall great card. It just kind of sucks how the main event was cool. The co-main of the featured fight on the main card sucked, but everything else was great. I thought this was a pretty good card. Just the Pantoja fight leaves such a sour taste in your mouth. Brandon Moreno, not letting him kind of thug that one out a little bit. And he would have lost anyway, don't get me wrong. That I didn't really like that. The Blachowicz draw was I mean, it was the right call, but you just wanted to see it finish there. Overall, sick card. The prelims were absolutely insane. Main card was pretty good, too. We have a new bantamweight champion, a new flyweight champion. And, yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. This is the last ESPN pay-per-view. There's only one more card left in the ESPN era. Brandon Royval versus Manel Kape. We'll do, obviously, a breakdown on that as well sometime next week. Again, thank you all for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. And, yeah. Prayers out to Alessandro Pantoja.